All right, you guys, we here for how does the Netherlands feed the world, man. This video kind of caught my eyes and it was on my recommended. So, man, shout out to everybody in the Netherlands, man. I've been learning a lot about y'all country, man. So thank you for allowing me to learn. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for teaching me too.
A beautiful, very flat country made up of windmills and tulip fields. When people think of the Netherlands economy, their mind goes straight to Amsterdam, whether it be
Right.
the coffee shops or recent headlines about post-Brexit financial services. But in this video, we are going
Hold up. Let me fix. I don't know why, man. Like, I don't know why my YouTube
to
does this.
explore Dutch agriculture, which has helped turn the economy of the Netherlands into the Silicon Valley for food. If I asked you, who do you think is the biggest food exporter in the European Union? You might think France,
Yeah.
Spain, or Italy. That's what I answered before I researched this video. As you might have guessed from the title of this video, the answer is actually the Netherlands.
Wow.
The Dutch economy is the agricultural powerhouse of the European Union, and that title could perhaps stretch to the world for certain fruits or vegetables. The Netherlands is the second largest food exporter globally, behind the United States. But if you compare the population of both countries, it's no surprise the USA is ahead. The truth is that agriculture in the Netherlands performs incredibly well and generates a lot of economic growth and productivity growth for the Dutch economy.
That's beautiful.
So how did this happen, despite having a relatively low landmass compared to other large agricultural economies? Understanding this is the aim of this video, and if you appreciate the work that goes into these videos, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button. It costs you nothing and it can really help support the channel. So why has the economy of the Netherlands become something of an agricultural powerhouse? Typically, as countries become more developed, they move away from sectors like agriculture to heavy manufacturing and then eventually services. The reason for this is due to an economic concept called opportunity cost. This is essentially the hidden cost of making one decision over another. For example, if you have a piece of land that is 1 hectare and you use it to grow potatoes, you might earn 7,000 or 8,000 euros.
Right.
If instead you use that area to build a factory or an office, the return could be much higher. Well, the Netherlands has actually been a bit backwards in this aspect. Famous Dutch companies include Shell and Phillips, and the first stock exchange
I had no
in the
idea
world
Shell and Phillips were Dutch companies, my bad. So, opportunity cost. So basically, it's what I'm seeing based off just views and maps and stuff, or just videos. Is that are they choosing to plant rather than do factories? Rather do more farms than factories?
Famous Dutch companies include Shell and Phillips, and the first stock exchange in the world was actually in the Netherlands. It wasn't until fairly recently that the Dutch economy started looking at ways to become a large agricultural producer and exporter. Now I know what you might be thinking. Agriculture in the European Union, it's got to be subsidised. You would be partially right, as the Common Agricultural Policy is essentially just that. But compared to other prosperous EU countries, the Netherlands gets a much lower subsidy. The Dutch economy gets about 1/3 of what Greece gets, or 1/10 of what France gets. And when you consider this to one of the other countries I've covered before, Switzerland, it is clear that something else explains this. The answer as to how the Netherlands economy has become the garden of the world can be explained in one word.
Greenhouse?
Technology. That's the simple answer. But that doesn't explain why other countries can't keep up. After all, it's not as if Spain or France can't afford technology. And that's why we have to go back a bit further to understand why agriculture in the Netherlands was promoted as a sector. In the 1970s, the economy of the Netherlands was one of the most prosperous in Europe. Compared to the UK, the Netherlands was practically a paradise. Instead of rolling blackouts and constant strikes, the Netherlands economy was growing and dominating global markets in electronics and gas. However, there were some issues that started to appear in the Netherlands during this time. With market-leading firms growing at a rate quicker than the rest of the economy, it encouraged younger, more educated workers to move away from agriculture to well-paying sectors. This put Dutch agriculture under a lot of pressure, an issue made worse by the fact that Dutch farms can't really benefit from economies of scale. Unlike the USA, which has incredibly large...
if you think about it, the Dutch economy, you know what I'm saying, they pretty much, younger generations were going into the basically corporate world versus going out into the farms, which could probably lower production of the farms. Unless I'm misunderstanding, let me know. I'm gonna go back a couple clicks so I can get all that.
Educated workers to move away from agriculture to well-paying sectors. This put Dutch agriculture under a lot of pressure, an issue made worse by the fact that Dutch farms can't really benefit from economies of scale. Unlike the USA, which has incredibly large farms, typically owned by a big corporate, the Netherlands had the opposite, which made large investments more risky. Another issue at this point is an economic concept called the Dutch disease. With sectors like natural gas bringing in large demand, the Dutch currency continued to strengthen. This made it even harder for Dutch farmers to compete with agriculture from other European economies. So why didn't the Dutch government just give up on agriculture? After all, it wasn't that valuable to the economy of the Netherlands, and trade was becoming more open across the globe, meaning there wasn't a food security issue. Well, if the Dutch government was looking at it purely from an economic perspective, they might well have given up on it. But sometimes people and politics can get in the way of that. The good news is that the outcomes have been...
Hold up.
At it purely from an economic perspective, they might well have given up on it. But sometimes people and politics can get in the way of that. The good news is that the outcomes have been remarkably positive, but we will come back to those later. Farming associations in the Netherlands had a disproportionate amount of power. For example, farming associations essentially had an open-door policy with the government, and they regularly took the opportunity to try and keep agriculture alive within the country. As the rest of the economy was developing around them, Dutch farmers were not willing to change from agriculture to one of the growing sectors. And given their political influence, the government needed to figure out a way to deal with this issue. Instead of giving up on agriculture...
I mean, you basically asking people to like give up their means of making money for their family. So people are not gonna give up their land just because for some money, because there's always a way to trade.
The Dutch government decided to double down on agriculture and decided that if it was going to be part of the Netherlands economy, it was going to be a productive one. Since salaries couldn't be reduced or more land created, the only solution was to improve productivity, and that's where technology and research step in. More specifically, the University of Wageningen entered the scene and became a key economic player. This university is to the Dutch economy what Stanford University is to Silicon Valley.
So prestigious.
Stanford University is not only a world leader in research, they also produce the best computer scientists in the world. These computer scientists then leave Stanford and go to work for Facebook, Apple, or Google. For agriculture,
So if I go to one of them schools, it's guaranteed I'm going to be working for a big company when I get out.
Dutch University takes up the mantle of world leader. And instead of being called Silicon Valley, the Netherlands has Food Valley. Many of you probably hadn't heard of this university.
Me neither.
I certainly hadn't. But its role cannot be understated. It only works in the world of agriculture, and everything is geared towards producing the best research and the best workforce for the sector. They don't offer degrees in law or politics. It is all about biology, chemistry, or food science.
But that's the stuff that's going to make you money. So it almost seems like America researches more into technology. They put more into technology. But they put more research into biology, the things that still allow for the human experience to prosper. Technology takes the human experience away.
They are also funded in a very different way to most universities, which stems from the fact that to make Dutch farming competitive, it needed to be productive. The funding structure for the university is made up of both public and private sector funding.
That makes sense.
In the last 2 decades, public sector funding for the university's research budget has doubled, aimed specifically at improving the economy of the Netherlands through something called agritech. Over 25% of the funding then comes from the...
I mean, if that wasn't self-explanatory, agritech, agriculture and technology at the same time. And then earlier in the video, they showed places like greenhouses where they were growing things. So I know he's kind of going and leading into that.
Private sector, typically agricultural firms wanting to improve their own productivity. This does not mean that the university is being privatised, nor does it mean that the research the university produces is hidden away, never to be seen again. It actually has a major benefit, which is that it allows the university to be connected to the business community in the region, and through a concept called the agglomeration effect, this has created an economic boom. By working closely with agricultural businesses and helping them to boost the Dutch economy, it has encouraged more firms to set up in the area. This in turn leads to business support services like accountants or lawyers setting up shop, as well as cafes
almost look like
or
a business
restaurants as wages go up. Most importantly in this instance, it also encourages intelligent people to come and study at the university. The university is the most cited in this field and has incredibly close links with businesses. Whether you want to do research or become an entrepreneur, the university is the place to be for those interested in agriculture. The result is that 40% of the students and staff at the university are foreign, coming from every inch of the globe. For someone like me, who can only speak one language, it would be great as the official language of the university is actually English. To give an example of what this actually means to people in real life, let's look at tomato growing in the Netherlands. The starting point is to understand that in natural Dutch conditions, growing tomatoes would be pretty challenging. Thankfully, through the research produced by the university, the Netherlands is a pioneer in LED technology and
LED? But LEDs are like artificial light, right?
Produced by the university, the Netherlands is a pioneer in LED technology and improving agricultural yields. This helps create a precisely controlled microclimate, which can be operated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This has helped the Netherlands become a world leader in tomato growing and exporting. But there's also a bigger piece to all of this.
So you use not artificial light, but LEDs. Somebody in the comments explain more about that to me.
Can be operated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This has helped the Netherlands become a world leader in tomato growing and exporting. But there's also a bigger piece to all of this. Economic growth and protecting the environment are often put side by side as things that are mutually exclusive. The Dutch tomato is an example that shows that this is not always true. In the USA, farmers need about 126 litres of water for every 1 kilo of tomatoes. In the Netherlands, farmers need just 8 litres of water to grow a kilo of tomatoes. An amazing saving in both economic and environmental terms. Not only does the university help to produce the research, it also plays...
So I wonder if we use the same type of technology, could it could it be the same? Look how those lights are like protecting. I see what's going on a little bit. Trying to understand.
Plays a key role in getting that research out there so that farmers can take advantage of it. What I didn't know was how quick technology changes within agriculture, and it's thanks to the university and the Dutch Agricultural Council that farmers can stay on top of that. After all, it's no good being a farmer and getting money from the Common Agricultural Policy and then not knowing what to actually spend the money on.
Right.
The Agricultural Council helps signpost farmers to the most up-to-date equipment for whatever crop they're trying to grow. They want to grow potatoes, they'll be told what machines to get. If they want to grow tulips, they'll be told what tech they need. The overall result is that Dutch agriculture is one of the most productive in the world. But from an environmental perspective, they reign supreme too. For example, antibiotics use is much lower. The same is true for pesticide usage. Water usage for their crops has fallen by close to 90% since the tech...
I wonder why that, though. I wonder why. Say lower antibiotic and pesticide usage, lower water usage. How?
Pesticide usage. Water usage for their crops has fallen by close to 90% since the technology revolution began. And thankfully, being the open and trading nation that the Netherlands is, they are exporting this technology around the globe, which will hopefully have a similar positive impact elsewhere. Both the United Arab Emirates and Singapore have made large orders for Dutch agricultural technology.
Now America nowhere to be found.
They're doing this to improve their food security, and I wouldn't be surprised if other rich growing economies do the same. It is a success story that goes under the radar when thinking about the Dutch economy. But the cheese I had for lunch is in part due to the agricultural revolution, and for that, I say thank you. Over to you then. Did you know before this video how strong Dutch agriculture was? Were you surprised by the role of agriculture in the Netherlands economy? Let me know in the comment section down below. And whilst you're down there, make sure you check out the description, where you'll find freebies including free Bitcoin if you use my affiliate links. I'd really appreciate it if you could click that like and subscribe button before you go. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
That was an amazing video. I had no idea. That it was that. It's cool, actually. So it just makes me wonder, like, why can't America adopt the same technology? You know what I'm saying? Like, if America doesn't want to lead in agriculture, I wonder why. Maybe because you have to pay people to manage that stuff and they don't want to pay people. America's really good at finding the technology for certain things, but not actually. Well, America's good at taking the human experience out of everything. So, with that being said, did y'all enjoy it? I know it was a little slow, but we got through it. So, man, post your comments down below, man. If you guys got any more to add to this, and let me know and see any tidbits about the Netherlands agriculture, hey, let me know, man, because I'm willing to learn. So, all right. Okay.
Boom. It's a freestyle Sunday. I didn't mean to interrupt, so abruptly cut me, trip me. I know that God loves me cause he's patient, kind, also long suffering. I don't know how he puts up with our fussing. Kicking, screaming, complaining, don't touch me, trust me. Cause if they knew me, I'd be passing by the saints so much I drew breeze similar to Cain and Abel.